It would seem as though...
Hi.
Hi.
How am I going?
Well, better now that I just watched you flip off your cat.
Yeah, right in her face. Well, we're trying to be quiet. Intro's happening, and she's being fine the whole time, and then she sees my chapstick standing there, and she's all, fuck this, and just knocks it down. I'm all, shut
Atta
up.
girl. Atta
Shut up,
girl.
you dumb bitch.
Welcome to another week of It Would Seem As Though, the podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and nothing.
Mostly nothing.
Yeah, we have a lot of nothing this week.
Yeah, well, I mean...
And a few somethings.
What else? I can't think about anything else. Like, we're about to go on
I know.
vacation. I can't care.
I have vacation brain.
Yeah.
You know, it's like having short timers at work. I have vacation brain.
Yeah.
So all I can think about is being in Anaheim, where the weather is lovely. And it is lovely right now, by the way. It's 70 degrees
I'm so excited.
with a low of like 55.
Okay.
So which sounds delightful to me.
Yeah, but it's not wet at all. It's
No,
so dry.
it's dry, which I'm fine with. I like that.
I'm into it, yeah.
But it's like, the last time we went there in May, it was in the 80s and 90s, which is too much. 72 is perfect.
And we're going to be moving and hustling all day.
Yeah.
And also, who wants to be outside in a theme park when it's 90 degrees?
No.
It's miserable.
Well, that's why I won't. Well, it's one of the reasons why I won't go in the summer.
Yeah, ew.
But it's also jam-packed so tightly with people that you can't
So many
even get
children.
into anything.
So many children. And I know it's a theme park and it's Disney, but, like, back up. Get up off me. I need you to know, last time I was there were children I almost murdered. And I know I'm in a theme park. I know this is for children.
Is it?
It's for everybody. Let's keep it real. But going into Star Tours, you know, you
Yes.
walk through whatever.
Yeah, the wind-up queue.
It wasn't super long, but we had to wait in a line, and it was myself and Gavin, and a mom with 3 kids, and the kids were all probably 7, 8, 9, somewhere in that age, right? 3 of them, 2 boys and a girl. And the mom was on her phone, and they were Midwestern somebodies. You know what I mean? And she's all bleep, 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 on her phone, not paying attention. They're like wrestling, actively wrestling, fighting, trying to kill each other, hanging them off bars. Like, it was insane, and she didn't do anything. And the line would move, she would walk ahead, and her kids would just still be there fucking, like, fighting each other. Every time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I threw those children directly off the balcony and said,
That's good because,
"Or
you know,
Norm."
in that queue,
Yeah.
if you go over the railing, it's quite a ways down.
It's a drop, bitch. Yeah, so I was
So
like...
how, did you drop all 3 of them over the railing?
Well,
Or
I
just-
dropped one and said, "You see what I'll do? I'll do it to you, bitch." And then they ran.
Yeah. Clearly your brother's gone now.
What brother?
So...
There was only ever 2 of you. Yeah, exactly. Right. And here, I get it. Let kids be kids. Have a good time. Have fun. But also, children should also learn, also, that there are actions. Nope, there are consequences to actions. You know what I mean? And, like, not everyone is your parent or your family. Not everyone gives a shit about your... You know, I care about your well-being as a human being, but I will tell you to go fuck yourself as a child, and I won't think twice about it.
Well, and not everybody thinks your kids are cute. You know, in fact, you're probably the only one. And if your kids are misbehaving... then nobody thinks your kids are cute.
No.
Probably not even you.
No.
And if you're on the phone and your children... No. I'm sorry, but you're in public. If you were just sitting at, like, some picnic table in the park...
Yeah.
And your kids were roughhousing and fighting... Who cares?
Yeah.
But you're in a queue... that everybody wants to keep moving. Everyone's anxious for it to move.
Yeah.
And, I've been in queues where the children weren't paying any attention because they're hanging on the rails or they're doing different things. I can't be bothered. Because I'm all... Move. Move, please.
So,
keep going.
Sometimes I just have had it with America in general, right? And so I've been watching a lot of these social media videos of Chinese kindergartners and their classes, and their teachers take videos of them. Because the philosophy is that they know kids have a lot of energy and big spurts of it, so they don't set them in classrooms and make them do dumb little things. These little kids are super fucking dexterous. They have, like, basketball skills, you know what I mean? Like, dribbling a ball, which doesn't seem complicated, but most adults can't dribble a ball unless you've played basketball.
And at 5...
And watching kids, like, do it between their legs, and they're all very organized, and they're playing jump rope, like... It's like double dutch, right? But then they jump into it with their own jump rope, bitch.
What?
Girl, it's like, it defies nature. It's insane to me.
Have you ever been able to jump in?
Yes, but not double dutch. But it's like one rope. Yes, bitch. That's fine.
I could never jump in.
It, I could jump in, but I could never double dutch. I don't that doesn't.
Double dutch to me is like some magic. Yeah. And so when I see kids doing it, I'm all, I don't know how on earth you got to be, have this skill.
For real.
But I'm impressed.
Yeah. So my point about children, I think, is I get children should experience the world and different people and places and things. Children should experience nouns.
Children should experience nouns.
I
agree with you.
But, caveat, your children also are people in the world, and they're an extension of you. So because you have these parameters for your children, how they live their life and what they're exposed to and what words they can hear and whatever, then you need to have those same parameters when in public. You need to have boundaries. You need to understand that not everyone wants to be around children, super loves children. I'm not saying, like, I'm not a fool going to Disneyland thinking, there won't be children here. But, like, there's a level of, like, decency as a human being. And I think a lot of times parents let their children run fucking buck wild. And to me, it is so incredibly disrespectful. So,
well, I think for me, that's all just part of that, what I think of as the social contract.
Yes, girl, it's like what it is.
My children can be cuckoo crazy, but they're not going to be cuckoo crazy in public.
No.
They're not going to be like that at a theme park. They're not going to be like that in line. They're not going to be like that at a grocery store.
No.
They know better.
Yeah.
I'm going to share this with you. There's this woman who I follow on the Facebooks who likes to read other people's posts and, explain why she thinks they're hilarious.
Okay.
Now, this is a young black woman.
Okay.
And she was reading a post the other day, and I only point that out because it will be important in a moment. She's reading this post from this white woman who said that she said to her daughter, who is 3, if you do not pick up your toys, I'm going to throw them away. And little 3-year-old white girl looks at her mama directly in the eyes and says, do what you gotta do. Of course, the woman who's doing this video is like, wait, what?
Yeah.
That little white girl looked at her mom at 3 years old and said, do what you gotta do. She goes, I, first of all, wouldn't have lived much past that statement. Because to look my mother in the eye and say something as sassy as, do what you gotta do.
Do what you gotta do, yeah.
Ooh, she said, now I'm going to say for the people in my community, you all know that is not how we grew up. That is not how we were raised. And it's like, it is funny to me that is one of those things that does seem to be cultural. The white children.
Yeah.
The parents are just like, oh, aren't they cute? No.
There's a running joke that white children will tell their parents to fuck off. And, like, if you were, I don't know, a child of a racial or ethnic minority and you said that to your parents, they would just, you would die. You know what I mean?
Well, because one of the phrases I've heard many times is, I brought you into this world.
Yeah.
I can take you back out.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Oh my God.
And of course, no one really means it, hopefully.
I hope to God not. But I want you to know, I come from white trash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I disrespected the fuck out of the people who were technically my parents. But here's the thing. They deserved and I would do it to their face today. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like, they were shitheads and awful people. But, like, I remember hearing, like, my stepmom would say, I brought you into this world and I can take you out of it, to my sisters. And I remember saying, what about me, bitch? What about me? You gonna bring me into this world? What you gonna do about me? Huh? You just gonna kill me? Huh? I know. But yeah, I get it. It is different. There's a complete difference in how white children talk to, specifically white American children talk to their parents. Girl, I know.
Speaking of white children.
No, I don't want to anymore.
Oh no, I have to. I saw this the other day and I was horrified. And I do mean horrified. Right. So I do not know where Port Coquitlam, and I'm probably saying it wrong, but that's what it looks like. It's Coquitlam, Coquitlam, which is clearly an indigenous name, but it's in Canada. That's all I can tell you. There were these flyers stuck up all over town that says, join us for whites only moms and tots.
Oh my God.
Are you looking for somewhere where your children can play with others who look like them? Are you tired of being a minority in their schools and daycares? Escape forced diversity and join other proud parents of European children as we create an atmosphere in which our kids can feel like they belong. Invest in your child's sense of well-being and racial identity by giving them the gift of time spent amongst their own people because they deserve it.
Because they deserve it. So this is British Columbia. This is right over the border.
So Vancouver area.
Yeah. It's like a suburb of Vancouver. Totes.
So now...
That shit's gross.
These were put up all over town.
Good.
And people immediately were posting this on their social media going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And there was apparently one of those QR codes on it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you scanned it, by the time the news got a hold of it, there was no link to anything.
Okay.
Because I think somebody maybe thought better of their Nazi nonsense. But it was like, what the...
I also...
In this day and age, really? You're a whites only... What year are we in?
I just
what
also love your own... Like, we're European, your own people. First of all, motherfucker, white people who live in U.S. and Canada, yes, are descendants of, right? And often could be second generation, third generation, whatever. But unless you can be... that can be your ethnicity, that can be your lineage, that's your family history, and that's your blood, sure. But if you didn't grow up in the culture, if you didn't grow up knowing anything about it, then I'm part Norwegian, but I didn't grow up with any sort of food.
You didn't grow up in Norwegia.
I didn't grow up with any sort of food or culture or holiday traditions, dress, nothing. So I don't claim to that as my culture. I claim it as like, oh yeah, that's a part of my blood, but that's just a part of my blood. It's my family history, right?
Right.
So there's a difference. So to be like, oh, we're European, bitch, you're Canadian.
Clearly you're Canadian.
First of all. And secondly, like, Europe, you think European was just a unifying term? You know what I mean?
All Europeans are white.
And they're all they love each other so much. Have you never read about any war kind of ever?
No, because there were no wars. All the European folks loved each other.
It's so interesting to me. People are dumb as fuck. And especially, just like multi-generation people in the West, the United States and Canada. I'm just like, get your shit together. Right. Our culture is just appropriation. That's it. It's culture stealing, culture theft. It's a colonialism, and it's appropriation. That is like what white people, unless your family practice like an ethnic culture from a different like country, religion, whatever. But like most white people, Americanized white people, that's what we have. We don't really have anything for culture.
No.
We have Hollywood.
Well, that's why when people, for years now, when people have asked me, like when I'm enrolling the kids in school and different things, they'll say, so is there anything culturally that we need to be aware of? And I'm like, no, we're white. We don't have culture.
Yeah.
And I say that, and people look at me like, what? And I go, no, we don't.
Yeah. Again,
we do not. I mean, we have our family cultures and we have whatever, but we don't have a culture.
No, unless you're practicing, again, because like Europe does have culture. A lot of their culture is also just stealing other people's culture. Yeah. But like, there is a difference between people who are, Finnish to people who are Irish, right? There's a definite difference. You would know. But like, if we were, I don't know, Swedish and moved here, we could say, we celebrate this, or this is like what we believe in, or whatever. But I don't think it's white people. I don't think it's gonna be that big a deal,
right?
But
I know, but that was horrifying to me.
Yeah.
And there's this woman that I follow on.
Tell me about her.
On the interwebs.
Yeah.
Her name is Alyssa
Milano.
Yes. Alyssa D. Grenfell.
Okay.
She is a former Mormon.
Okay.
And she likes to talk about what the Mormon church is really like.
I love that.
And most people who are not Mormon have no idea. Yeah. Or you have a few ideas, but not really very many.
Sure.
Because a lot of their practices are, very secretive.
Yeah.
But...
Well, it's meant to be exclusive.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a lot of religion.
Right.
Yeah, it's like being able to go into temples and mosques or synagogues or whatever is like you are a part of that. It is exclusive.
But I don't trust any kind of religion where you cannot easily access what their beliefs are and what their things are. Because like most religions, they're like, oh, we do this and this. In fact, I'm going to tell you about it because I want you to become that. Mm-hmm. And Mormons do that part. They go out and proselytize.
Yeah.
And one of the things I found really interesting, it's not the point of this story, but when Mormon missionaries come to your door, if they put the Book of Mormon in your hands...
You're Mormon?
No, but they're not allowed to take it back. So if you said to them, I don't want this, and try to hand it back to them, they can't take it.
What if I was like, oh, my fire's going, I'll just, keep it
going. They still
can't
take it.
Oh.
Because in their church, the belief is if they take that book back from you, they're also stealing your salvation.
Neat.
Yeah. What's also interesting to me is the Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
It was
I'm sorry, the gold tablets that were found.
Joseph Smith.
Yeah, Jojo.
He was hanging out one day.
In a cave or whatever.
And Jesus came to visit him.
Sure.
In the Americas.
Because he was tripping balls.
Girl.
He
probably had some peyote or whatever. He found some mushroom in the forest.
He ate that rotten wheat and he got the crazy pills. You know what I mean?
And these two bearded white guys came to him and he thought it was God and Jesus. And they told him about...
Some hermits. He found some fucking hermits.
In the woods. Yeah, some white folks who lived in the woods came to him and told him to write this book and whatever. So he did... And it was just accepted.
Wait, weren't there golden tablets involved?
Yeah, well...
Isn't it very much like Raiders of the Lost Ark or whatever? Like, aren't there golden tablets that were lost?
Maybe.
The original... Something. There's something that was lost, and no one knows where it went.
Mormonism didn't start in America. It started in Europe.
I didn't know.
Because Mormons ran out of Europe and came to America.
Everyone else.
Yeah. Because they're like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But Joseph Smith wrote, the Book of Mormon. And then he was later imprisoned and put to death, died in prison. He wasn't
His
put to
followers hated him after that.
Yeah. But when he decided, when they created his branch of the religion, however you put it, their goal initially was to get as many indigenous people as they could to join their religion.
Yeah.
When the people of the Americas said, no thanks, we don't want your cuckoo religion. He made a proclamation that all indigenous people should be then made into slaves. And he did use the word slaves. They should be made into slaves for all these Mormon folks, because if they're not civilized enough to become Mormons, then their only purpose should be to be slaves.
Yeah. That's.
And you probably know this, but black people were not allowed in the Mormon Church until the 70s.
Yes. Yeah.
When all of a sudden God was like, I guess they're okay. Let them in.
Because up until that passed in the United States, Mormonism. Now we can change.
And that's the only reason they allowed it, and that suddenly God changed his view on black people was because the church was sued. And then they were like, oh, you know what? I just found this extra passage in the book. Take it from God's
coffers now. God needs that money, so we'll allow the blacks. Yeah.
It is the second richest religion in the world.
That doesn't surprise me.
Because they force tithing.
Yeah.
And it's not 10%. It's 10% of your income before taxes.
Yeah.
So you might not even be able to pay your bills, but you will pay that 10% tithing, or you're not a member in good standing. And if you're not a member in good standing, you can't go into any of the temples.
Yeah.
And so if your family is having a thing like getting married or whatever, if you're not a member in good standing, you cannot go.
And having several friends, I told you, that are Mormon, and most of them are no longer Mormon, talking about tithing, their family's tithing 10%. And I said, okay, well, what happens if you couldn't pay something? They said, well, then you would just go to the church and ask them to help you. And often they would, help you with the money that you've given them. Or they would set you up with, somebody else in the church who could help you, meaning that somebody was going to help pay your bills. So it wasn't ever really stopping your tithing.
Right.
It was continuing having others help others.
Because
forcibly,
now, of course, the way that banking and stuff is set up, most of that is just automatic. So it automatically is
Thank you for your time. You get a confirmation.
I remember, so going to church as a child, which we did 40 or 50 times a week.
Sure.
My mother we were always broke, poor. She always would give something in the collection plate. And if I remember correctly, and I may not, she usually gave $1, but gave all of us kids a quarter so we could feel like we were part of it. And we would put, until we got older and it was a little bit more. But it was there was never, you have to give this amount. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we even were giving like $2 or $3 a week was probably more than we could afford to give.
Yeah.
Because, again, broke.
There were 6 of you. There were 6 children.
6 kids, right. Yeah. And a single mom.
Yeah. Yeah. So the fact that you gave anything and weren't just like putting a quarter and taking a 5. You know what I mean?
I'm not making change backwards?
God has enough money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, over the years, God has amassed wealth, bitch. He don't need ours.
God is like the Bhagwan, and he just has all the cars and all the money and
all
the things.
Everyone...
I want to tell you this dumb joke.
Please. Oh, good.
So, these 3 ministers got together of 3 different churches, and they were discussing the tithing.
Yeah.
And one of the ministers of, the Christian church says to the other 2 ministers, how do you determine which part of the tithing goes back into the church, like to pay for things, and which part goes to the charities, goes to God, whatever? And he said, what I do is I draw a circle on the floor, and I take the collection plate and I throw it up in the air, and all of the money that lands inside the circle goes to charities, goes to God, goes to whatever. The rest that lands outside the circle, that's mine for like my pay and the things we need in the church. And the other guy's like, well, that's interesting. I'm kind of the opposite. I throw it up in the air, and whatever lands in the circle's all mine, and whatever's outside the circle goes to God. And the third guy's like, I just throw mine up in the air, and if God catches it, it's his.
I love that. I was thinking that has to be it. God didn't catch it. He didn't want it, clearly.
No, he's all, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah, what am I... I'm corporeal. Like, I'm not a human being, bitch. I'm incorporeal. You can put your hand through me. What am I going to do? Spend money? Go buy some Louboutins? Like, what do you want from me, Mary? That's God.
So God wearing Louboutins.
Serving. Serving cunt the house down
Well,
boots.
If you're wearing long robes and stuff, you gotta set it off with something cool.
Girl, that's what I'm thinking. Jesus walking around in those fucking Jesus creepers when he was wearing some pumps.
I know, and he could have had something cute.
Girl, he put some sticks under his heels.
We were watching Match Game last night, and this woman who was the contestant, when she got up, she, won, and she came around to do the Insta match at the end or whatever. And I could see that she was wearing Louboutins. And I said that, and Parker's like, what is I said, that's just a brand of
red bottoms, bitch.
Very expensive shoes.
Yeah.
And so I immediately looked it up on my phone. Girl.
Tell me.
The cheapest Louboutin I've had was $800.
Yeah.
And then up.
Yeah.
The most expensive pair that I saw, because I didn't do a big search, were a little kitten heel.
Yeah.
And the whole shoe looked like it was covered in carpet.
Oh.
And I do mean like a shag carpet.
That's different.
I'm all,
Listen, that's different. That's fashion.
That is not fashion. Yeah. It looks like somebody cut up that little rug that goes around your toilet.
That's fine.
And glued them to a shoe. And then charged $3,000 for them.
Do you know why the bottoms are red?
I don't remember why.
Because Christian Louboutin, Mr. Louboutin, was, it's inspired by sex workers walking through the meatpacking district in France.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy?
I did not know that. I guess I didn't know that. I do know that is trademarked to his brand.
I love it.
That other shoes cannot have
red
bottom.
I suggest if you ever buy red bottoms and you buy them for the fact that they're red bottoms, then buy the protector that goes over it, because it's more grippy, and also the red will stay red. That's my issue with them. Unless you're buying the thing that protects it, then it's just going to look chipped in a while. Okay, wait. There's something that's going on the internet that I think is really interesting, and it's very telling about our society. There was this girl, a college girl, I think. She started it, and she went around her campus and asked women, would you rather be stuck in the woods with a man or a bear? And almost immediately, every single woman she asked said a bear.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is very telling.
Right. And so men are reacting to those videos and being fucking infuriated that, on one hand, men are being infuriated because they're like, what the fuck? They don't think the bear's gonna fucking kill them. No. Of course, the bear may kill them.
But quicker.
But not only that, but the bear isn't probably going to also do horrendous things to them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But also, the bear may or may not kill them, which is like the true sign of nature. But men are just predators. So then someone asked a man who was infuriated about it, who was mad that women would much rather be with bears in the woods than men in the woods, because men could at least protect them from bears, whatever. She said, okay, well, if you had a daughter, would you much rather her be in the woods with men or bears? And he couldn't answer it. And then she said, okay, if you had a daughter, would you much rather her be in the woods with a woman or a bear? And he was like, a woman, immediately.
Right.
Also, very telling. You can answer, you'd much rather her be with a woman than a bear, but you're stuck between a rock and a hard place if it's a man or a bear. I don't want my daughter around either. Like, that's weird as fuck to me. Fine. Yeah, so now all these bears are suing the internet, being like, how dare you compare me to men? And I'm like, I get it. So, they all so I'm taking those cases on pro bono.
Nice.
Yeah,
I didn't realize you were a lawyer.
I'm educated.
You know, it's funny that you say that about, if it's a woman, that's fine. I was talking to one of my clients quite a while ago when her kids were little.
Yeah.
And she said that they were at a park.
Yeah.
And she was sitting there like a picnic blanket with her two kids, and her older of her two kids decided to hightail it away from her at top speed. Well, she also had a baby, so she couldn't really chase.
She just puts the baby under her arm and
what she did is she asked the woman on the blanket next to her, will you watch my baby, who she didn't know, while I go get my child. Now, the woman next to her had children of her own, whatever, and she was like, sure, of course. And I was like, wait, hang on, you what?
Yeah.
You handed your baby to a stranger, and she goes, I handed my baby to a mother because A, they would understand, and B, she's not going anywhere. She has a blanket full of babies, whatever. Yeah. But it was just that whole, I handed my child to a woman.
What do you do?
Because I knew that they would be safe.
It's either that or your other kid.
No, that's not to say there aren't women out there who aren't safe, because we just saw a trial of a woman who left her child alone and, for 10 days, and it died. And
oh, good. I love those stories.
I try to avoid those stories, but somehow they still pop up.
I know. I love hearing when people are like, my child knows that if they are ever get separated from me and they can't find someone they know, to go find... I've heard a woman say it, to go find a black woman. Like, a black woman will help you, protect you, whatever, right? Obviously, that's a generalization, right?
Yeah, probably not in Portland.
Right.
Good luck finding one.
I've also heard a woman that said... if you ever get separated, to me, to her little son, to go find somebody who looks like Uncle Ahmed, so somebody who's like Arab, because that's what he's comfortable with. That's what he would know. He's a little white boy, right? But his Uncle Ahmed's super cool. So go find someone who looks like Uncle Ahmed, and they'll help you. And I think that's really, again, very fucking telling. There's a bunch of white people telling their children to go find people of color because they will help you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Go find people of color, and specifically women of color, and they will help you. Like, girl, what is wrong with white men in this world?
Well, I can tell you that the only reason that my husband learned how to be a parent, the only person who ever showed him how to be a parent was his Puerto Rican family, who weren't even blood related at all. But they took him in, and he lived with them for quite a while, and was in their care for several years.
Yeah.
He didn't live with them the whole time, but he was in their care for several years. But if it hadn't been for them, he would have never seen what family's supposed to be like.
Girl.
How a mom and a dad, how they're just supposed to automatically protect you, do what's best for you. And, if you get into a situation that's at all dangerous, that they're there for you.
Yep.
And he never saw that. In fact, he was put into dangerous situations.
Girl.
Whereas... with this family, the story that he's told me that I just love is, so it was an older couple. They were they would have been the age of, grandparents.
Sure.
And then the grandma's mom also lived there. And so she was a much older lady who didn't speak English. And so when she would talk to him, didn't always understand her, but she maybe had some dementia, whatever, because she would get real angry and try to hit the kids with her cane. Or maybe she was in a clear mind and just didn't like kids. I don't know.
Kids,
But one of the times that she did that, I guess, towards him, his abuela was said to her own mother, you ever touch this child again, we're going to have some problems.
I'll break the
Don't
cane.
touch these babies, And just that in itself was more than he ever got from his own family.
Yeah.
From the white people he lived with. It's just like, so yeah, it is culturally. See, now there we're talking about culture. Mm-hmm. Most people I've ever known who were people of color, their family culture, whatever it is, was protective and was also much stricter. Mm-hmm. And so these kids knew, you don't clown your parents in public, you don't act up, you whatever.
Yeah.
So
what's so funny is I talk about how I was outrightly disrespectful to like my birth parents, but they deserved it. But I would have never to grandma. Right. I would have never. Do you know what I mean? Never ever would I didn't act up with grandma. Right. So I talk about being like a good kid. I first of all always was, but specifically with Graham. But interesting. I remember being a young person and BJ, my birth father, and my stepmom would like send us to people's houses. You know what I mean? And they never had friends that were not. All of their friends were white. But, like, it's that redneck, ignorant country mentality where it's like, well, I'm going to beat you too. You know what I mean? Where it was, like, unsafe kind of everywhere. You know what I mean? It wasn't just at, like, our house. It was also at their friends' houses. Because they were country people. They weren't afraid. They would, like, knock you across the face. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Back of your head, whatever. And I remember being terrified one time at one of their friends' house. It was their friend Tracy and his wife Jewel. And Jewel had 3 kids who were all like mine and my sister's ages. So we had someone to hang out with. But Tracy, I'm pretty sure was a gay man. But what did I know? It was the country. But he had a bleach blonde mullet. And he wore like tight jeans and like wife beaters. That's kind of what he wore. And he was a white man. And his mustache was black. That's what I remember. Okay. But he was just very flamboyant. And he one time told me, if I didn't do something, again, I was a good kid. I wasn't a bad kid ever. If I didn't do something specific, and I don't remember what it was, clean something, do a chore at his house, that he was going to, like, whoop me or whatever. And I said, the fuck? Someone else is going to fucking hit me? Great, now someone else is going to hit me? Like,
the fuck you are.
I know. Well, I mean, who was I going to tell?
Right.
The unsafe adults back at the house? Like, right. Yeah, crazy.
Which is interesting because when I was a kid, the kind of common thing was you were taught, you respect adults, period.
Yeah.
Teachers, other people's parents, whatever, and you didn't really question like their authority, but it was also more like that. It takes a village kind of idea where it was supposed to be like, if you're over at your friend's house, their parents can talk to you basically like you're one of their kids.
Yep.
Like, go to the room or you probably need to go home now, or whatever it is. They could tell you things, whereas nowadays, people won't say any, it's like, because for fear of God knows what, being sued, being whatever. But it was more safe because most of the time these parents were not being abusive to other kids. I mean, there still were the ones who took advantage of kids trusting them.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But more than likely, it was these parents who would be like, oh, you're in my watch now, so I'm your parent for these 2 hours or whatever. Sure. Which was very common.
Well, and I mean, again, growing up in such a small community, it didn't change that much from when you were a kid to when I was a kid. Because, I was at other people's houses more, about as much as I was at my own house. Because I was, sent to go be babysat, is what I always considered it. But, yeah, being under the watch of other people. And often it was fine. It was fine. They just treated me like one of their kids. But, sometimes it wasn't fine. You know what I mean? Sometimes it was like, oh, you are a shithead. And now that I'm under your watch, you're going to be more of a shithead. That's scary,
right. Right.
But anyway, things are the American man. What a scary person.
I wanted to make a little mention of our friend Lori Lee.
Ooh. Yeah.
Who... It's funny because I refer to her as a friend, though I've never met her, because we've had multiple interactions.
Totally. Yeah.
And it feels like I know her.
Yeah.
Right?
You guys would love each other.
And
for sure.
She sent me a video. She had been trying to send it to me, and it didn't work because her Flintstone phone, as she put it, didn't have the capacity.
Yeah.
And so she was trying to post it on Facebook. But then she finally got it sent to me, and This video, when I first put it on, there was no sound for whatever. And I think it was just because I was in my car and it wasn't doing something. Because it was Bluetooth into my car, but my car sound was off. And so, but it was just pictures from things from my lifetime, my youth mostly. Yep. Like from TV shows and movies and products and toys and things. Yeah. But then when I stopped it, I was like, clearly there's sound to this. Because I could see the little, where you can mute it. And so I figured it out and got it playing. And I was like, oh my God. Because the song was playing is When Did I Get Old? Which I don't know that song. I've never heard it before. But it's this beautiful, slow ballad. Which went perfectly with all these pictures, which made me feel really, really old. And I sat there in the parking lot of my daughter's school watching this video and weeping.
I know, bitch. I sent it to you, being like, Laura Lee posted this, wanted me to send it to you. And then you watched it, and then you're like, and now I'm weeping. And I knew you were at Grace's school, and I said, oops, maybe I should have, like, watched it beforehand.
But it was great. And my normal MO is to cry at pretty much everything.
Pick a thing.
So, pick a thing, right? Yeah. I mean, yesterday, what was I crying at yesterday? Something totally stupid. I was like, why on earth am I crying at this? But who cares? Yeah. But it's like everything. I mean...
Yeah.
No, but it was that whole feeling of my childhood and my youth don't feel like they were that long ago, you know, because I think it's a hard concept to be like, well, as of next Tuesday, I'm going to be 62 years old.
Ancient,
right?
Yeah. How embarrassing.
But how is it that when I was my children's age, that was almost 50 years ago?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, girl.
That is wild to me.
I know. Time.
And it was all, I mean, because obviously I became a parent very old, because I became a parent when I was 46.
I love it when you say that. It's like you were like 87.
I was 80
I
and
became
I
a
had my first
parent
child.
when I already had, was
I mean, it wasn't Janet Jackson old. She had her first child at 50.
Yeah. Whatever, you're in your 40s. I don't think it's that old.
No. But it is unusual.
It is, yeah. Sure.
But it is just weird for me to think that the time is so different. Because so Parker's 13. I was 13 in 1975.
Jeez.
Right. And Grace is 15, which would have been 1977 for me. So it was like the beginning of the disco era.
Wow.
It was...
Oh my God, what a moment, too.
The Blazers had, the year before, won the World Championship. And by the way, it's the only time they've ever done it. The Portland Trail Blazers, our basketball team. And you would have thought that Oregon had just been added to the map as much of a hoopla as there was. Yeah. I mean, I get that's a big deal.
Big deal, yeah.
But everywhere you went, every restaurant had, like, Blazer stuff. Like, you could get a Blazer meal where you got a Blazer cup. And 77.
Okay, because that also, I don't know if they won a thing. They obviously had to. But in Oregon specific, a bunch of restaurants. I remember having glass cups from a restaurant that were the different Blazers from the 90s or whoever they are. But it was like, it was current at the time. It was the current team.
Right. So you could get a whole set and each one had a different Blazer.
Yeah.
I always think that's kind of funny.
Why?
Just because, you're getting a free glass, or you're getting a free plate, or you're getting a free...
But it's merch, girl.
But I would think that would be pretty expensive merch.
I would agree.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember when I was, young, probably 4th grade. Aren't you like 10 in 4th grade?
Sure.
Yeah. And I want to say it was mobile gas stations. If you filled up your car, you could get this little doll of the world.
Okay.
And they were about, probably 6 or 7 inches high. They were little.
Yeah.
And other than the ones who came from non-white countries, they all were the same doll.
Okay.
With a different dress and different hair.
Okay.
But then when you had, like, the doll of Africa,
it was a
black doll.
Sure.
With the same exact face, just...
Black.
Just a brown girl.
Sure.
But it was all... But you could get this whole set of, like... I don't even know how many dolls there were. And my sister, who couldn't give a shit about dolls, started collecting them. And I just, like... can I just steal all your dolls? Because I want all of these dolls.
Honestly, you tell me that you can go get a free little cool, cute little toy and it's a collection and you can get that. I want it. Girl, how many times, remember when Spice Girls, there was those little suckers, the Chupa Chup suckers, they were strawberry and cream. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And it came in a little square package. You open it, inside was also a sticker. And there were 25 of the stickers. Well, I collected all of them but one of them.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But, like, I love shit like that. And then Snapple came out with, like, their Element drinks or whatever back in the day.
Well,
and
I see that you have your collection of chicken nugget
Listen, I don't want to
toys.
talk about it. I have a lot of toys. And because I feel like some things I like to get things that are very juvenile because it's a lot of things that I didn't get to do as a kid, you know? Yeah. And it does make me feel like, oh, this is so much fun. Like, I don't know. It makes... This is going to sound really dark, but I think life is kind of boring. Do you know what I mean? I think that at some point it's just day in and day out.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of cute.
I think that's accurate.
Yeah. Recently, nostalgia has been just, like, constant. Doing random things. Something will come up on TV and I'll be like, holy fucking shit. Like, what was it last night? We should watch. Well, Mary Tyler Moore show came on.
I love Mary Tyler Moore
popped
show.
up on Hulu, and I said, what? And then after that, it was shows from, like, the late 80s, early 90s, so, like, what I grew up with. And I was like Step by Step or whatever. And I was like, holy shit. Like, it just makes me feel, you know, ooey gooey on the inside. Yeah. Or, like, looking at the old R.L. Stine Goosebump books. Someone posted all of them that they had since they were a kid. Like, I love the feeling of nostalgia because it only makes me feel like these, like, moments of my life were, like, spotlighted and so encapsulated and great. And sometimes it is just a song or a product or a movie, but the memories that are attached to that don't feel bad.
Right.
I know nostalgia is a dirty liar, but they don't feel bad.
Oh, nostalgia is absolutely a dirty liar.
Yeah.
Because I will have a thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's a smell... or
devastating.
A sound or something that will take me to a very specific time in my life.
Yeah.
And I will have a pleasant, you know, overall feeling about it.
Yeah.
And if I think too hard about it, I go, that was not a great time in your life.
No.
But this moment, this thing, whatever it is, you know, has made me smile.
Yeah.
I came home yesterday and it was one of those smell moments. I got out of my car, and as soon as I got into the yard, I smelled this very specific smell that I can't tell you what it is.
Yeah.
It smelled a little bit like burning wood and something else.
Okay.
Which the something else is where I get lost. But all of a sudden, I was at Camp Wainema.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Because there was one specific smell that I was like, oh my god, I'm at Camp Wainema. And it was just instant.
Mm-hmm.
And I took 2 more steps, and that scent was gone.
Okay. Sorry.
No, that's it.
Okay.
I mean, it was just... Yeah. But it was that moment of like, oh...
I was talking about camping the other day because I was outside and smelled burning campfire, and I was like, you know, you're right, I don't like camping. I don't like being without electricity or mirrors or running water. I hate that. But I do like being in the woods. I do like being in it. I love the smell of it. I love that it's beautiful. And I love campfires. I love it. So I smelled it the other day, and again, it was like nostalgia. But again, I had fine time as a young kid camping.
Yeah.
But... nowadays, girl, I have a skincare routine that is like 10 steps, bitch. You think I'm going to take that camping?
Right.
Are you high?
Right. I'm sorry. Where am I going to wash my face? And where am I going to do all of this stuff?
No,
and where am I going to get my micellar water so that I can...
Girl. And Gavin and I are planning on watching the movie The Mummy. And that was another thing, another catalyst.
Now, which one?
The one with Brendan
Fraser one?
Yeah.
We just watched them.
Okay. Because this is what...
Now, I watched them when they were new in the theater.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we just watched them as a family, the first and second one.
Well, the reason that I was going to do that was because when the kids slept over not that long ago, I said, you guys want to watch The Mummy? And they're like, we already watched that. And I said, oh, well, fuck me then, you little bitches.
Well, fuck my drag.
I know, so we watched... What did we watch instead? We watched Hunger Games. Cool beans. Oh, no, we didn't. We watched Austin Powers.
Oh, right.
And they loved it, and Grace, everything Dr. Evil said, Grace kept repeating, just nonstop, and it was like, dear God. But The Mummy, I love it. That just also, because I think that whole movie, everyone in that movie was like, who I wanted to be or who I wanted to be with. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
All of them. And the whole lead cast is, are you kidding me?
I'm just going to say the guy who played the whatever he was.
The bald Egyptian god of whatever.
Hot
as fuck. Brendan Fraser was hot though.
Brendan Fraser was hot though.
And then his wife, who's the woman? There's a woman who plays like Nefertiti who's stunning.
Also stunning.
And then who's
Rachel Weisz.
Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? All of them.
Also gorgeous.
The four of them? Hubba hubba. Are you fucking kidding me?
I know. It's like, apparently in this time, because it's set in what, the 20s?
Maybe.
So I think the 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
It's like everyone is drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah, my sexuality, these four people.
Right. I am so confused.
I know.
I find them all
I'm
hot.
so conflicted. Yeah.
I used to think Brendan Fraser was super hot.
He what? Encino Man, bitch? Are you kidding me? He was a caveman and I was all... What?
Yeah, but I don't usually go for that type.
No, me either, but I was
because
a kid.
he was... One, he's white, which is fine, but he's kind of on the paler side of white, and I prefer, hairier.
What I love is that we're like, oh, but not usually white men, and then we both ended up with white men. And my white man is practically albino, so...
Right, mine is not.
Yeah, I know, yours is not.
But now mine looks like Santa Claus with his white beard down to his belly.
I didn't know you had a Santa kink. That was weird.
Well, I have tried to keep my Santa kink, kind of under wraps.
That's why she loves Christmas so much. That's disgusting.
Well,
I know.
The other kind of nostalgic thing for me is specifically music.
Okay.
Because there will be, and it's not all songs.
Yeah.
But there are certain songs that will come on, and it just takes me to a moment in time where I'm like,
oh, wait.
I remember that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be like sometimes a very specific moment.
Yeah.
And then, again, if I look at the picture too broadly, then it's like, oh, well, a whole lot of that was crap.
Shitty. Yeah.
But, I mean, there's 1972, so I'm 10.
Jesus God.
I know. The Shy-Lights were a big group then, and there was a whole bunch of groups of that nature who were Motown, who were, it's like, they had very similar sounds, but when I hear them now, it just gives me like the warm fuzzies.
Yeah, girl.
And then there are the songs that I hear them and I go, ugh.
If I hear it ever again.
Here's my example of that.
Yeah.
The Pina Colada song.
Do you like Pina? That one?
Yeah. Which, by the way, the name of the song is actually Escape.
And what?
The parenthetical title is the Pina Colada song.
It's called Escape. You, a gun to my head, said, what is the name of the song? And I would have said, do you like Pina Colada?
Right. But that song to me is just gross.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, you know what? I was looking at this ad. I'm bored. I'm laying in bed with my wife or girlfriend or whatever she is.
Yeah.
And I see this ad in the paper for like, this other girl, and she sounds better because I'm bored.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to respond to her message, and then we're going to meet up each other. And oh my God, it is my girlfriend. So we're both dirty cheaters. And isn't that the cutest story? I'm all, blech. That is so gross to me.
It is so gross.
And Rupert Holmes, who did that song, he has made a shit ton off that song because it's never left the radio.
No, it's catchy.
And it's in like 400 movies.
Yeah, it's catchy. That's fine. Well, and I have a special place where I fucking hate it, but also I'm like, oh, because Astra used to sing it at me with all of the wrong lyrics. So it became kind of funny.
Okay, so I would enjoy that.
It was silly and
singing
stupid.
It intentionally with the wrong lyrics. Because my children sing things unintentionally with the wrong lyrics. And I'm all, nope, that's... But when you sing it intentionally with the wrong lyrics, that's funny.
It's better, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking about the one time when nostalgia really punched me right in the gut.
Okay.
I lived in San Francisco, and I hadn't talked to Grandma for 2 years at this point, something like that, because she was on her bender or whatever she was doing.
Oh, it was in the height of her anorexia.
Yeah, and she was like a hardcore Republican, and it was nuts. Anyway... So I wasn't talking to her, and I walked through Bloomingdale's and walked past, like, through the cosmetic department and walked past the Estee Lauder counter and smelled I smelled Cinnabar, which is her perfume that she's worn forever and ever and a day. And Cinnabar is not a popular perfume through Estee Lauder anymore. Not. And it's near impossible to get, right? Like, you have to order it or have them order it for you. And so the fact that I was able to walk past the makeup counter and smell it, and it literally stopped me. It stopped me, like, dead in my tracks. I remember getting, like, very emotional. But it was so shocking, because I was like, whoa, this smell. But Disneyland does it to me. The first day we're going to go to Disneyland, girl, I'll cry. We walk those gates, I'll fucking cry.
Well, for me, and I'm going to tell you my perfume story and then Disneyland.
Yeah.
Because after T's mom died, we were sorting through all of her stuff, and he was picking out, what to keep, what to donate, what to throw away, because all of her stuff was in a storage unit. One of the things he pulled out was a bottle of perfume. And the perfume is called Emerald, which is what my grandmother wore.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She wore 2 perfumes. She wore Emerald and White Shoulders.
Okay.
And I swear to God, I know,
name.
Funny that an indigenous woman wore something called White Shoulders.
Yeah.
But anyway, I opened the bottle, I popped the lid off and smelled it and burst into tears. Yeah. I did. It's like, and then I felt like a schmuck because he's going through his dead mother's stuff, and all of a sudden it's about me. Right? And I'm all, I need to leave now because I didn't want to be like, I'm taking your moment and making it about me, but I could not help it. Yeah. I literally opened that bottle, smelled it, and burst into tears because that smelled like my grandmother, who's been dead since I was 30.
Yeah.
And
listen, I get
that's
it.
a long time.
For somebody who can't regulate her emotions very well, I super get it, okay?
Right. I'm sorry I'm up in your moment, but... so Disneyland. The smell for me, and it has been since the very first time I went, is that... water, chlorine smell.
Splash Mountain.
Yeah,
it's
all
Splash
of it.
Mountain.
Because I remember when I went the first time.
Yeah.
There was no water ride like that. Though there were water things, like there were the submarines.
Oh, right.
But all of their water smells the same.
Yeah.
It smells a bit like a pool.
Yeah.
But it also has other smells involved in it that make me, if I smell it anywhere else, I'm in Disneyland.
Yeah.
Somewhere, right? And then also... they have the churro carts that have little fans on them that blow the smell out, so that you're like, ooh, a churro, I could have a churro.
And right after we went, I was looking up a bunch of like all the secret things about Disney or whatever.
Yes.
And there are vents throughout both parks that just pump certain smells in.
Yes.
And most of it's like a candy popcorn, like a cookie popcorny kind of. But I love that. I hadn't been to Disney. We went last year. And before that, I had 9 years prior, so it'd been a long time. And so I didn't, I forget things. And I think, it's going to make me so excited. I'm so happy. I'm, like, jittery. And then I get there, and the moment we walk through the gates, and there's, like, the Mickey flower, and I can just smell it. And you can smell it when you're getting close. But I'm just crying. I start crying, and Gavin's like, I didn't realize you were actually going to cry when we got here. And he said, well...
like, neither did I.
Yeah,
but here we are.
I know. And,
Well, Disney is such a special place. For me and for us as a family. And because I asked you the other day, I said, how many times have you and I been to Disneyland together? Now, mind you, when I met him, I was going to Disneyland like that week. I met him and I was going for Gay Days in Disneyland, which is the first weekend in October. And I had just met him the end of September. And I went to his work the day before I left because he was like, you should come to my work and I'll give you a tour. He didn't care about giving me a tour. He just wanted me to come see him again. Yeah. And that was the day before I left. So anyway, but I said, how many times have we been together? And we figured it out, and together in the last 20 years, we've been 9 times.
Wow.
Well, 22 years now.
Yeah.
But, and this will be our first time with you as a full-grown adult, because the last time you went, you were 18?
How many times have we been together? 3? 3 times, okay.
Yeah, because we went when you were 14.
Yeah.
And then when you were 15. And then when you were...
17? 18?
It was whatever year you were with Roger.
I was 17 initially, and then I turned 18.
Okay, so you were 17 or 18.
Yeah.
And that was our shakiest trip to Disneyland.
It was,
but even being the shake, it was still good.
It's still wonderful. I know.
I mean, there were moments like when your phone got soaked in Coke, and...
Diet Coke, not cocaine.
Right, Coca-Cola.
Got soaked in cocaine.
I don't know how you would soak something in cocaine.
We were new to the whole cocaine business.
Oh,
so we decided.
Sure. But that was also... I mean, it started with getting to the airport and being told our flight was canceled.
Yep.
And then being... having our flight moved to a flight that landed in LAX.
Instead of Orange County. Yep.
And then... and then we were meeting Roger at Orange County. What is it?
John Wayne.
John Wayne Airport.
Yeah.
And by the time we get there, he's literally the only passenger still
playing in a wheelchair.
There was a guy who was doing the floors with his little mini Zamboni kind of thing, polishing, and Roger.
Yep.
And there was one taxi driver out front.
And he was blind in both eyes.
Right. And smelled bad.
It smelled like
and
feet.
Didn't know what a turn signal was.
And said, oh, I know where I'm going.
And then drove in circles.
And then didn't.
And then we get to our motel, which was shit.
Yep.
And the hot tub was a barely warm tub.
It was a lukewarm tub.
Right. And then the next day, your phone gets soaked in Diet Coke.
It was
just all kinds of things. But it was still a great trip. I still had fun.
It was still Disney, girl.
Yeah.
It was still a good time, yeah.
That was a Christmas trip because there's pictures of us in front of that Christmas tree.
I remember that. Yeah,
Jesus. But still, great times. Yeah. Now I'm going to tell you a little thing. We buy the thing that's called the Genie Plus. It used to just be called the Plus package or whatever.
Sure.
And now it's called the Genie Plus, and it's like the Fast Pass. But more importantly, maybe not more importantly. But it has a photo thing with it where you can, any photo you take in the park, like the ones on the rides, you can have free.
Yeah. I love that.
Although it's not really free, it's hundreds of dollars. Anyhow.
Yeah.
But, so what I do is anytime I see a photographer,
we get your picture.
I go get my picture done. I don't care if I just had it done 3 feet that way.
Yeah.
If I see an official Disney photographer,
better take that.
I'm all, oh yeah, I want my picture. Oh, you're doing it here? Okay, I want that. Because I want as much documentation of everywhere I was in Disneyland.
Yeah.
And girl, I paid for it.
Yeah.
So I want all of the things.
I mean, we got the Genie Pass this time. And this is, who cares, people on the podcast, this is good for you to know too. We bought our tickets, right? And Gavin is an old man, so he printed out 2 of the pages. I already put mine into the Disneyland app, so it's ready to be scanned into the park, bitch. Because, I'm ahead of the game. Because I said, no, ma'am, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Well, let's face it, though. You've been ready for 6 months.
I know. And I was, because last Wednesday or whatever... Wait, what is today? Yeah, last Wednesday was, a year ago, we were in Disneyland. Gavin and I were in Disneyland for that one day. And we came home from LA, and we told you, it was so much fun. We went to Disneyland. It was, last minute... And then we were like, we should go next year. And bitch, we are leaving in less than a week now. I can't believe it.
I'm so excited.
I'm so fucking stoked. And this trip, this Disney trip, the vacation that because we planned this before Gavin and I started dating. We wanted to go to Disneyland together, right? But we didn't officially plan it until really we came back.
Yeah.
And it was funny because when Gavin and I first started dating, I don't know, it was our second or third date or something. I was like, oh, I really like this guy. I was like, hey, do you want to go on a vacation? We're just going to Disneyland, me and my family, no big deal. And he was like, that was the moment. It was I knew that we were going to date because you asked me to go on a trip over a year away. And I said,
right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I think you knew, the minute y'all met that this was the guy.
I know.
I know that with T.
He's pretty cool.
And I've said this a million times.
Yeah.
On our very first date, had he said, will you marry me? I would have said yes. Mm-hmm. And everybody would have gone, you're insane.
Yeah.
But
I know.
I want to, since we're talking about Disneyland and nostalgia and stuff, I want to tell you a little story.
Okay.
So the first time I went to Disneyland, I was 14. And I went with a church group, which I know I've talked about on here. And we rode a school bus from McMinnville to Disneyland, which was
fucking horrendous.
Okay. But here I am, 14 years old. I've never been anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah.
Literally, I've never been on a trip, never been on a vacation, never been anywhere. So here I am in Disneyland.
Yeah.
And it's very different then than it is now.
Sure. But still.
They're right outside the gates were these little stand kiosks. Mm-hmm. But they're permanent kiosks. And they're now there, but they're right inside the gates. Anyway... And so I'm standing there and I'm admiring some things, and like you as a child, I was like, I have this many dollars.
Yeah.
Which thing? And I'm looking at everything that I have to have.
Yeah.
And I picked up this little Dumbo because I love elephants. I collect elephants, whatever. And I pick up this little Dumbo and I'm looking at it, and then I look at something else over here, and then one of the people from our church group yells my name, and I turn around. They're like, "Come on, we got to go. We're loading up we're getting out of here. Blah blah blah." And I started walking away, and I suddenly realized I had that Dumbo still in my hand, and I panicked because I'm like, I'm stealing, and I went back as quickly as I could, put it back down. Nobody noticed.
Nobody.
But I was in a total panic because one, I was Miss Goody Two Shoes, and I mean that with honestly. And then I was like, but I just stole something. I'm gonna go. They're gonna put me in Disney jail,
straight to Disney prison,
right? I did not go to Disney jail.
Crazy.
I know, but it was the moment where I was just like, well, that's it.
I know. I understand that feeling of walking out with something you haven't paid for and being like, fuck. When I was in Detroit, which is not the place to be caught shoplifting, I was like, oh, this cute backpack. Put it on my shoulders. Because it was whatever they have that's kind of like a Target or a Fred Meyer. I don't remember what's... No, who cares? Don't remember what it's called. And doing some shopping. Snacks, some basic shit, right? Whatever. Had this backpack on, paid, checking out. They have a huge loss prevention office in the front. It's all like two-way mirrors, right? It's huge. And I'm like, hey, let's see, walking out, get to the car, realize I still have this fucking backpack on me. And it's like a $30 backpack. And I said, well, my backpack now, bitch. I wasn't going back in there. I was like, you're going to arrest me and put me right in jail.
That's the thing. I think as a younger person, I would have hightailed it back inside and said, I am so sorry, I forgot I still had this on my back. But now, because I know that had you come back, they probably would have arrested you. Yeah. And been like, sure, that's a... Yeah. But why would I come back?
Sure.
You know? But yeah,
I was also like, what are you going to do, Fred Meyer of the Midwest? Have my picture up like I'll ever come back here? Yeah, that was me.
Right. So, it's about time to go. But I wanted to do one, since we're doing nostalgia. Yeah. I looked up a couple of things that were the year I was born.
Okay.
So I was born in 1962.
Yeah.
The number one toy was an Etch-a-Sketch. Which as a child, I thought was the coolest thing. Yeah. It was hard as hell to draw pictures on it. Yeah. But whatever. The number one snack was Chips Ahoy.
Interesting.
I didn't know they were a thing. The number one movie that year was Gypsy. Or the number one movie when I was born. Was the musical Gypsy with Rosalind Russell and Natalie.
Oh, I love that, yeah.
But what's also interesting about 1962 is the year the Beatles, the Beach Boys, and Bob Dylan put out their first album.
Wow.
Right?
Three really unknown artists.
Unknown. They never went on to anything. Kmart and Walmart opened their first stores.
In what year?
In 62.
Whoa.
Yeah. And Andy Warhol painted his Campbell Soup painting.
Oh, yeah.
Which, of course, is one of his most
pop
famous.
Culture.
You know.
Yeah.
And so that was the year that was, 1962.
Crazy.
I mean, other things happened, but those are things I found interesting.
Yeah.
And the number one song of when I was born was Soldier Boy by the Shirelles.
Okay, yeah, of course, totally. Yeah.
And so the rest of it, I did one for like every decade.
Yeah.
But then I was like, we don't have time for all that.
No.
But I just thought that was kind of cute and interesting.
Yeah. The only two things I know happened in 1989 where Little Mermaid was put out and the Berlin Wall came down. Those two things are the only things I know about 1989.
And you said you still haven't done the Little Mermaid ride at Disneyland, right?
I never.
Because it's in California Adventure.
Okay.
And do you remember where the Golden whatever theater used to be?
Yeah.
Well, that's now it.
Okay.
And if anybody listening doesn't know, Annika's favorite Disney movie is The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
So the Little Mermaid ride, you get in it, and it takes you... And it's one of the ones where it doesn't stop, so you have to get on the little conveyor belt, and you go under the water.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
But you go, and it's like a very, very brief version of the movie. It's very cute.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's go.
And so I can't wait to do it with you, because I know you'll love it.
I'm so excited.
I have to tell you this is absolutely unrelated to anything other than being under the water.
Oh, great.
Somehow, on my YouTube videos, you watch one video all the way through, and all of a sudden you're in that algorithm.
That's what you love.
Well, I watched this video because I wasn't sure what was happening.
Yeah.
This doctor had this thing, it was this disc-shaped thing up to someone's ear, but it was running water through their ear to, like, clear out blockages. And I was all, and I watched because I kept going, what on earth is that thing, right? So one of the next videos that came up was somebody trying to get something out of their ear, right? And it was this doctor with this very long little forceps kind of thing. This girl had gone...
No.
What's the other thing she...
Snorkeling?
Snorkeling.
Okay.
She had a little tiny crab in her ear. And when that thing popped out of her ear, I almost died.
I would never go back in the water.
I was like, water? I don't like water. I'm never going in the water. But it was an actual full living crab that was about, I mean, it was tiny, obviously, to fit inside her ear canal. But it couldn't get out because it was too crowded.
Oh my God, I hate it.
Right. And so when it popped out, it walked away.
I said, bitch, thank you.
Wow.
Bitch, yeah. I was claustrophobe.
So then I, shit twice and died, to quote Molly Ringwald.
Yeah, I hate
anyway,
it.
that is the end. That is all the time we have, and we're gonna get the hell out of here because we got shit to do.
But next week we'll be in California, and we'll figure out how to bring you a show.
We sure will, and we're trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
because I don't want to take my whole computer, which is how we do this nonsense every week.
Yeah.
But we won't be in our glorious studio.
No,
we will be in LA somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. We'll see.
Who knows where we'll be?
Yeah.
Anyway, but that brings us to the end of another episode, and I would like for y'all to send us a little love, like our friend Lori Lee likes to do.
Yeah.
At itwouldseemasthough@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And tune in every week because we have a new show every Wednesday.
We sure do.
And yeah.
That's it. I'll see you in Disneyland, bitch.
And yeah, next time we talk to you, we're going to be so excited because we're going to be elsewhere.
Bye, bitch.
Bye.
Bye.
It would seem as though